Hello and welcome to the Excel review. And so in this video I'm going to talk about absolute versus relative cell references. I'm also going to go over range names, and if we have time in this video we'll do if-then statements. If not, I'll do that in a second video. Okay, so in this is a PowerPoint presentation that's been posted up on Canvas. I'm not going to go over all of this. I'm assuming that you know some basic things in Excel, and if you don't, this PowerPoint presentation kind of guides you through some of those. But I am going to hit some of the highlights here, and the first thing I want to talk about is on this slide when we get into absolute versus relative cell references, because this can be a little bit tricky. So if I look over here, what I have is a little spreadsheet where I've got the 2017 sales and I have 2018 sales, and then I'm going to go ahead and calculate sales tax as a percentage of my sales. So what I have is I can come over here and I can do a formula in Excel where I can just say equals this times my sales tax rate. Okay. Now, if I want to copy this over, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because it's using a relative cell reference. So you can see what I have is I copied that 1, 2, 3 spaces over. Instead, if you look at it, it says F3 times K1. 1, 2, 3. So it moves, so it does a relative cell reference where it moves over to the column K1. And so I don't want that. Of course, I don't want that because I want it to be the absolute, I want it to be times H1, not times K1. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say equals this times this, H1. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go hit F2. So what I did is I hit the F2 key to go in and edit it. Or you can just click up there. And then what I'm going to do is hit the F4 key. And by doing that, it puts dollar signs around the H and then the 1, well, around the whole cell reference. And if you can't find the H4 key or you're having trouble with that, you can just go manually do the dollar signs. And now if I hit okay, so it says H1. Now what I have is an absolute cell reference. So when I come over here and I go Control C and then Control V, now it works. It's still referencing H1. Okay, so that's important to remember that I can do that with my absolute versus relative cell references. The other thing that I wanted to show you is something even better than that. Is I can come over here. Let me hit Escape. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to come up to where it says H1 right up there. You can see that at the edge of your screen. And I'm going to type in a range name. So I'm going to just give it a number. I'm going to click right over here in my Excel. Of course, you want to have Excel open, probably be following along with me. And I'm going to type in sales tax, like that. And then I'm going to hit the Enter key. So again, all I did was come over here, H1. I came over here. And I typed in sales tax, I don't care what you call it, and then you hit the Enter key. And what that does is this gives us a named range. H1 is now a named range. And so now what I can do is I can come over here and I can say equals my C3 times my sales tax. And see that it comes up. And it references H1. And then I can hit the Enter key, and then what I can do is copy and paste that over, and it's still the sales tax. So it gives me an absolute cell reference to this cell, but it also gives it an informative name of sales tax where that makes sense in the formula rather than calling it H1. Okay, so that's absolute versus relative cell references in a nutshell. And it's also range names, okay? So, pardon me, named ranges. And so I can give this a range name right over here, call it sales tax. I can call it whatever I want to. And then I can reference that right over here. So I could even come over here and I could go equals sales tax, and it's going to reference H1, and that's 0.05, and it's 5%, so I can come over here and format it as a percentage. Okay? So that's absolute versus relative cell references and name ranges. All right, so I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to bring up another spreadsheet that's posted up. Well, let me continue on. So the rest of this stuff, I'm kind of assuming that you know. That was some range names right over there. We just kind of talked about that. Setting up the printing margins and everything. If you don't know how to do that, I encourage you to look at this, aligning cell contents, all those formatting. I was going to skip over that and let you just kind of do that, sorting as well, renaming worksheets, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of assuming that you know. I want to jump down and talk more about relational operators and if-then statements. So if I have relational operators, that's greater than or less than or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to or just equal to, and it allows me, or not equal to, it allows me to compare two cells, the values of two cells. So what I can do is I can say equals, if I went into Excel and I put in equals 3 plus 5 equals 8, I'll get true. Okay, so each one of these functions over here is returning true or false. Okay, now here I get into using some ands and some ors. I'm not going to go over that too much. I don't think we'll have to go into too many complicated if-then statements. So what I want to do is jump down here to if-then statements. I want to make sure we know how to do that. And a lot of this is that you need to know how to do this in order to do your Excel spreadsheet case. Okay, so you look over here at the if function. The way the if function works is it comes right over here. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up Excel and go ahead and do it. So I'm going to jump down to the demo. So I'm going to bring up this. If we click back over here, your if function demo spreadsheet and then your if function demo solution. These are both posted up on Canvas, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these two. So now what I have is my if function demo right over here. So what I can do is my if-then statement is I can just go equals, all functions in Excel start with equals, if, and then I do an open parentheses, and I'm going to do a logical test. And I'm going to say if, I'm going to click on H9, equals true, like that, then I'm going to put in the word approved. Otherwise, I'm going to put in the word not approved. Okay? And I'm going to do that. And then you can tell it says approved because that says true. So it says approved. And what I can do is I can copy that down. Approved, 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 not approved. Okay? So I can even make my if-then statement even a little bit simpler, is I can come right over here and I can say if, open parentheses, this. I don't even have to do a logical test there because what's happening is in H9, H10, cells H9, H10, H11, all the way through H14, it's returning true or false. So all I have to do is just say H9, if true, or if false. The way the if-then function works is this test evaluates the true, then it goes to the true area. So in this case, I want to say approved. False is what happens if it's not true, if it's false. Then I can say not. And I have to put it in parentheses. Otherwise, it's going to think it's referencing a range name or a function. And so it has to be in parentheses. And so I can do the exact same thing right over here like that. Okay? Let's look at something slightly more difficult where it says, if the total past due, right over here, what we want to do is, and if you bring up your if functions rules, which is also posted up on Canvas under your Excel spreadsheet, under your Excel review, it says if the total past due is 0, then the total past due is equal to the current balance due. If the total past due is greater than 0, then the total balance due is equal to the current balance plus the past due balance plus the base penalty fee. So if I look over here, I'll come back to my spreadsheet, and I even have that as a note for you. If it says if total past due is 0, so I'll come over here and I'll go if my total past due equals 0, then what I want to put here in J9 is equal to the current balance past due. If that's not true, right? Look back over here. If that's not true, then what I want is the current balance due plus the total balance due plus the base penalty fee. Okay? So I'll look back. Sorry. So I want it to be equal to this plus this plus the base penalty fee, which is right there. That's what I want it to be. Okay, now if I copy this down, it's not going to work properly because B2, when I copy this down, it's going to go to B3 and then B4. So watch, if I go Control C, it doesn't work because it says B3. So I need to use an absolute cell reference. So I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to give it a name, a base pen, like that. And then I'm going to come back to my function and I'm going to redo it. I'm going to say equals if total past due equals 0, then then what I want is just the current balance. Else it's equal to the current plus the past due plus the base pen. Now when I copy it down, it will work. Okay? And so here's our solution. So you can see we have 14408 right over there in our solution, and we can see that is also correct. Okay? So that's exactly what I just copied down. The other one that you could do, if you wanted to, if you want to do this for extra credit, or extra practice, this one's a little bit trickier. It says if, this is on the 90 days past due. So it says if the 90-day past due amount is greater than the minimum 90-day balance surcharge, then take the greater of either the minimum surcharge or the surcharge. Okay, so here are the rules. And I'm not going to go ahead and I'm just going to go over this one in the solution. Again, this is posted up online. So it says if F9, right over here, is greater than the minimum 90-day surcharge. Okay, so if the 90 days past due is greater than, then take the greater. So I use the max function, which returns the greater of a couple different values, the maximum of a couple different values of either B4 or B5 times F9. If that's not true, here's the false condition of the if-then statement. Okay? And then again, of course, what I can do, see, I froze, by putting the $sign, I froze the 4, so when I copy it down, it will just say B4 all the way down, and then here, B3, and then B4 when I copy it down. I could just go ahead and give that a range name if I wanted to, B3 and B4 and B5, and then copy it down, and that would probably be a better way to do it, but you don't have to in this scenario. If you wanted to, it'd be a better way to set up your spreadsheet because it would be self-documenting. Okay, so that's kind of going to be the end of this first video, and this first video again does the basics of if-then statements, the basics of range names, and the basics of absolute versus relative cell references. I'm going to do another video. The next video I do will be on VLOOKUPs. Thank you.